Let's talk about this further because this has been quite a day as far as Bangladesh is concerned. Joining us are Bhashti Mukherjee, former senior diplomat from New Delhi, and we also have Major retired Shamsher Chaudhary, former foreign secretary to Bangladesh from Dhaka, joining us as well. Good evening to you both. Major Chaudhary, if I could ask you first, could you tell us how did this all come about and what is the situation right now in Dhaka and Bangladesh? Is the situation calmer now that we are looking at a sort of a settled situation as far as Sheikh Hasina being out of the country is concerned, but there's still political uncertainty because we don't know what sort of interim government will be formed?
Thank you very much. Before answering your question, if I may, refer to the introduction given by someone else, where he said that thousands of military personnel were killed by General Ziaur Rahman government, which is not true. The completely false information, and I think it should not be form part of Indian media narrative. Now, the thing is that what we saw today is a culmination of a month-long anger by the youth in reaction to the former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina being very dismissive about their concerns about job security in the government by preserving a huge number of quota that favored her government most. Added to this, they added why the public frustration became so pronounced this time, when she dismissed the students' demand for calling them Razakars and pro-Pakistani elements, etc., which is something totally rubbish. Yes, she did a lot of economic work, but the lack of accountability, serious governance issues, corruption, cronyism, favoritism, everything centered around the family, giving no space to political opposition, and terming everybody, any voice of dissent, as anti-state, as being pro-Pakistani, as being pro Jamaat, pro-Shibir. That never went down well with the people. Now, people were not allowed to speak, not allowed to open up because of fear of being arrested by the police. I myself was in prison for 3 times just because I was in the BNP. I left the BNP in 2015. The fact remains that this callous attitude toward I can put anybody in jail, I can take anybody in remand. My police can pick up people from their homes and then offer no explanation for that. So it's a pent-up feeling that added to the students and the youth's frustration about job opportunity and the way she dismissed it. And so what we see happen in the last 6 hours, 8 hours is a culmination of that.
Okay.
Now, I am at least heartened by a couple of events in the last couple of hours. One is by a statement by the leaders, the what they call the conveners. They have said, they have appealed to the public that we must restore order. It is our duty. No state institution should be damaged or hurt. The vandalism must stop. All segments of the population, regardless of their religious faith, regardless of their political belief, should be free from any kind of persecution or any kind of revenge or hatred. Now, initially, there was a lot of burning of taking place, belonging to the Awami League ministers, etc. Even the Gaurav Bhavan, which is actually a government property, it is not the Prime Minister's own property. But, in such a reaction, when you go from one extreme to the other, these things are not unusual. Nobody condones them. No sensible person will ever condone such a thing.
All right. Let me bring in Bhashti Mukherjee for a moment here. Ambassador Mukherjee, Major Chaudhary says a lot of what has happened was because of how Sheikh Hasina's government and she herself was functioning during the last, well, not just a few years, the last 15 odd years, but more so perhaps in recent years. But is there all to what has happened today, or is there more to it?
Well, in the first instance, let me clarify that my parents and my grandparents come from what is called Dhaka Bikrampur, and I have a lot of knowledge about Bangladesh and what's happening there. And my information is a little different from my interlocutor. The protests about the quota had died down because the Supreme Court of Bangladesh had very sensibly withdrawn it, and this had been accepted by the Sheikh Hasina government. Therefore, the information that is circulating is that the present unrest has actually been fueled by forces inimical to the former government of Sheikh Hasina and also inimical to India, which was seen as supportive of Sheikh Hasina's government. We were actually supportive of the development projects that she brought in. The fact that Bangladesh, under her administration, moved from LDC to developing country status, etc., which has been said in your own introduction. The violence that has taken place is very disturbing because it's not just a question of targeting government property. I fully agree with my interlocutor on that. But it seems to be violence which is also targeting minorities. Now, these minorities there, regardless of their religion, hold Bangladeshi passports and decided to stay on in Bangladesh because they believed that Bangladesh was created because language and culture is more important to a Bengali, regardless of whether it's in the east or the western part of Bengal, rather than religion. It was on that basis that the language agitation started in the then East Pakistan. It was on that basis that the genocide took place in Dhaka University.
সেগুন বাগিচার দিকে রমনার ঠিক উল্টা দিকে যে ভবনটা সেখানে তারপরে পরপরই তিনি এখানে চলে আসেন
everything is hunky dory and that the situation will come back to normal very soon. I really sincerely hope and pray that will happen. But at the moment, it would appear to me that Bangladesh is in a state of active meltdown, that law and order must be immediately restored, that faith in the police must be restored, that the burning of properties of minorities, which is happening right now, I'm getting reports on social media, the targeting of minorities, I don't want to mention the religion, has to stop immediately because otherwise it would have a very unfortunate impact on Bangladesh's international standing. It is not a question of change of government that can happen anywhere, and we hope that there will be a peaceful transition to a government that is acceptable to all the people of Bangladesh. But in the meantime, if there is targeted killing of minorities, that must stop, and that is something that is bound to inflame public opinion internationally, and it is bound to inflame public opinion in India. So I cannot agree with my interlocutor when he says that it's just a question of targeting government properties. It is much, much more than that.
Yes, Major Chaudhary, that is a big concern really for anyone across the world, that people are targeted in the garb of what's been happening, because we've seen that those reports have come in that minorities have been targeted, and also that it was initially the students, as Bhashwati Ambassador Mukherjee mentioned, and later it turned out to be something else. It turned into something else altogether, took a different dimension, which is not the way perhaps Bangladesh should be going. It's suffered earlier because of what has happened in terms of radicalization in the past as well. It should not be allowed to happen again. Can we understand or really sort of discern from what has happened today that an interim government will be formed, that will not be allowed?
Look, I have been speaking to a lot of my friends who are from the minority community over the last couple of hours, and they are all feeling quite safe, and they don't seem too much worried. So I don't know where Ambassador Mukherjee got reports of target attacks on minorities. I have not yet seen that. If I seen that, I condemn it very strongly.
There are reports of people being killed. I don't want to name people at all.
Social media, you know social media better than I do. Now, I have, I just heard the leader of the student protest group saying that it is our responsibility to ensure security and safety of every single Bangladeshi citizen. And these are a youth progressive lot. And to credit Sheikh Hasina that she accepted a changed quota system, I think she acted far too little, far too late, and in a very dismissive manner. She should have acted much earlier. She denied them. She called them Razakars, which is a very bad tag that you can attach to a group of people. Razakars were those people who were against our liberation. Well, I'm a freedom fighter myself. I fought in the War of Liberation. I was wounded in the War of Liberation. I was a military officer there. I revolted against Pakistan. And this new generation of Bangladeshis, this is 54 years after independence, they don't even know or understand Pakistan. I mean, Pakistanis don't understand Pakistan. So how can the new generation of Bangladeshis understand Pakistan? The security and safety of minorities is a concern, not only in relation to Bangladesh, there are many other countries of the region also, where the security of minorities and safety of minorities has been a matter of concern. Now, let me say one thing very clearly, that we hope that there will be a peaceful transition. Everybody is appealing for peace and calm, and these are students, they have not seen anything but a pent-up anger. What debilitated Bangladesh is the Bangladeshi politics. The politics of intolerance, the politics of non-accommodation of dissent, the politics of rigged election, of fraudulent election, of stage-managed elections at every level. Bangladesh came into existence. The War of Liberation was based on when the Pakistani military government denied the election outcome of 1970, where the Awami League under Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman won a huge majority enough to govern Pakistan, but that result was denied. So Bangladeshis believe in participating in politics. They believe in the politics of democracy. If you wipe away the democracy because you are an elected person, so-called elected person, when 7%, 6% people turn out to vote, in a country where under caretaker governments, people have turned out in 60s and 70s.
I think the turnout was 40% in the last election.
Turn out to vote. Sorry?
I think the turnout was 40% in the last election.
Oh, come on, Mr. I took part in the election myself.
Okay.
I took part in the election myself. In my area, it was not more than 8%.
Okay.
The official figure was shown as 24%.
I wouldn't know about your area, sir, but that's the figure that I got.
No, generally it was not even near 20% all over the country. It was not even near 20%. I mean, it's not just my constituency, overall in the country. So if you have state-managed election in a country where people want to vote, why has the youth turned away from election? I mean, in India, people have faith in the electoral system. People have trust in the electoral system. In Bangladesh, you go to the field, people don't have trust in the electoral system. The election commission is handpicked to arrange a rigged election where ballots are stamped the night before the election. Not on the election day itself, but the night before.
So then it comes to a tall order really of ensuring that a reliable and credible government is put in place, and I guess the onus for that, Ambassador Mukherjee, would fall on both the army chief, who's relatively new. He's been thrust into the thick of things, and then of course President of Bangladesh, Mohammad Shahabuddin. Now, which way do you think these people might go in terms of putting together an interim government, which would need to have a tremendous amount of legitimacy to be able to function in such a situation?
The army chief has to ensure that rule of law and order is restored, because the police, according to reports, started moving away and not participating. And the reports that I have got from my friends in Bangladesh, both on social media and on telephone calls, and I have seen photos of dead bodies of the minorities. So if my interlocutor does not want to believe it, I would invite him to look at his own social media, where there are bodies torched, properties torched, women, minority women begging to be spared, etc. Those pictures, when they will come out tomorrow, will inflame public opinion globally and will certainly inflame public opinion all over India, particularly among Bengalis, whether they are in Bengal or outside Bengal. The second issue I wanted to say is the president under the constitution has a very important role to play, because under the Bangladeshi constitution, present Bangladeshi constitution, there is no provision for military coups or military rule. So therefore, if the army chief is looking at a prolonged period of comfortable military rule, he would have to deal with the Bangladeshi president, who is supposed to be the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So therefore, our hope would be that first the army would restore law and order and stop the wholesale slaughter of minorities and burning of their properties, that they would encourage young people to return, reassure them that the quota system was abolished on 21st July, therefore all this violence was not required, and then to organize, as my interlocutor says, free and fair elections, where the Awami League, as a major political party, would have the same role to play in the run-up to these free and fair elections as the Bangladesh National Party, which is supposed to be closely aligned to Pakistan. And I certainly don't buy the argument that young Bangladeshis don't know how their country was created or the role that Pakistan played, but perhaps there are sinister forces both within and outside Bangladesh who are trying to play down the role and bring back Pakistan in the center of Bangladeshi politics, which would be extremely detrimental because it goes against the very basis of the creation of the Bangladeshi state. So that is for Bangladeshis to decide, not for Indians, but they should reflect hard on how Bangladesh was created, why it was created, and why it was a victory of language and culture over religion. If they want to reverse it, that's their internal affair. I, as a Bengali coming from that part of Bengal, would feel very regretful. But
well, certainly these are critical days, crucial days.
I have not seen any photos, any footage of minority persecution.
You will. I'm sure you'll come across it once.
I don't buy that unless I have credible evidence. Only then I will say, okay, I was mistaken.
Well, let's hope there are credible probes as well that take place in Bangladesh once order is restored. Thank you so much for joining us this evening to talk about it, Major Chaudhary as well as Ambassador Mukherjee.